iDriveSoCal is brought to you by the very best auto retailers from across Southern California. When it's time for you to buy or even just kick the tires on the idea of buying, just go to iDriveSoCal.com and click on dealers. iDriveSoCal.com, click on dealers, and get connected. Now, on with the podcast.
If you're going to be taking part in using cannabis, do it responsibly. Don't drive. With alcohol, there's a predictable level on how quickly it's going to rise on somebody. With cannabis, we have to take consideration the user. Are they a long-term user, short-term user? We have to take consideration on how they ingest it.
Welcome to iDriveSoCal, the podcast all about mobility from the automotive capital of the United States, Southern California. I'm Tom Smith, and today I'm in Santa Fe Springs, California, and I'm joined by Sergeant Oscar Chavez of the California Highway Patrol's Impaired Driving Section. Sergeant, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
So the topic today is marijuana as it pertains to DUIs. Now that it's legal, things have changed, or at least it would seem they've changed. Maybe they haven't, but that's what we're going to talk about. When did marijuana officially become legal here in California?
As of this year, beginning in 2018 of this year, it became legal to purchase as well as to sell cannabis to the general public.
As of January 1st this year.
That's correct, yes.
So there was the medicinal use before the complete legalization. So are all those, and I'm not sure if you know the answer to this question, but are all those shops that were medicinal now, are they just automatically able to sell to anybody?
Not exactly. Those medicinal shops will still be open. They still have to abide by the old or the current law.
So then, as far as the shops are concerned, they have basically two different sets of guidelines that they need to, and probably some kind of permission that for medicinal as well as the recreational.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So then, how was the California Highway Patrol directed to handle marijuana-related issues leading up to the legalization? And so, to be specific, before January 1st, 2018.
Well, all through 2017, the California Highway Patrol took a strong view into training our officers to making sure that we're able to identify someone under the influence of cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
All our officers, when it comes to CHP officers, they're all trained to be SFST trained to recognize alcohol. They all get 52 hours of training.
SFSE?
Yes, I'm sorry. That's Standardized Field Sobriety Test Training.
Oh, okay. Standardized Field Sobriety Test Training.
Yes. The department actively made sure that all our officers by the end of 2017 were trained in what's called ARIDE, or Advanced Roadside Impaired Driving Enforcement.
Okay.
Which
ARIDE.
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 Right, yes. So it's an Advanced Roadside Impaired Driving Enforcement.
Okay.
And that course is a 2-day course, 16-hour course, which we train our officers on recognizing not only signs, not only re-emphasize the signs of impairment of alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
but to also emphasize the signs of impairment of drugs, including cannabis.
Okay.
And when just overall, all we're looking for out there is to make sure that, especially if we pull someone that's under impaired, we're looking for strictly impairment.
Doesn't matter what it is.
Doesn't matter. It could be pills. It could be
sleep deprivation.
Also, if they might be if they're too tired to drive, that's also dangerous as well. But specifically to drugs themselves, we're looking to make sure. There's other drugs out there as well, like you have like Xanax, or you might have something like a painkiller like Vicodin.
So not just cannabis, not just illegal drugs, but also prescription drugs that somebody might be prescribed or abusing.
Absolutely, yes. And we bring experts throughout the state, medical professionals to kind of teach about the signs and symptomology of drug use. And we also have included in that part of the training
Then before January 1 of this year and to now, what's changed in marijuana related traffic incidents or even other, if there's some significant that's outside of traffic as it pertains to now that marijuana is legal?
It's a little too soon to kind of like pull stats out. It's only been 3 months since 3 to 4 months
Right.
since January 1st. What's really changed on our enforcement? I wouldn't say not much. Our biggest push is always make sure that people are safe out there. If they
Mm-hmm.
consume whatever they consume it, they do it, responsibly. If you're going to be taking part in using cannabis, again, do it responsibly. Don't drive. Get it. There's a lot of ways to get from point A to point B. We have ride sharing,
Yeah, all kinds.
like Uber and Lyft.
Have you guys seen a change in offenses or increase or decrease, really?
Specifically to anything specific, it's too soon. It's too soon to tell. Like,
With alcohol, you get pulled over, you do a field sobriety test. You have the scientific data of the breathalyzer,
yes,
and there's a measurement. It's 0.08. You can't be over 0.08. Maybe even you can get a DUI under 0.08 with alcohol. I know that's subjective to the situation, but
that's correct.
as it pertains to marijuana, other than the field sobriety test, is there any scientific data such as a breathalyzer or a blood test that is done?
Currently, the CHP is looking into technologies when it comes to, for example, the mouth swab in order to detect the presence of cannabis
Okay.
in your system or recent use. When it comes to chemical tests, yes, there's no breath test that you could blow into a machine and get your 0.08 level. Uh, the only way right now that we could use is to use a confirmatory test, which would be the blood test to test the presence of cannabis in someone's system at this point.
You can consume cannabis in so many different ways. It's not just smoking it anymore. They're eating it, and there's
Right.
some kind of wax. And there's even topicals, right? You rub it on for a knee or something.
Yes.
It just seems like it opens up so many strange questions and how, but it doesn't sound like it's a problem. I'm asking questions of a problem that doesn't really exist, it sounds like.
With alcohol, there's a predictable level on how quickly it's going to rise on somebody, and once they peaked at their level, on how quickly it dissipate till they get to a zero. With cannabis, it's really difficult. It's different than any other, like alcohol, for example. With cannabis, we have to take consideration the user. Are they a long-term user, short-term user? We have to take consideration on how they ingest it. Is it edible? Are they using a sativa strain? Are they using an indica strain? Sativa is going to have some effects on a user versus an indica strain, or is it a hybrid strain, a combination of both? And what's the THC levels of the cannabis? Are we talking about levels at 10% THC for the green leafy substance? Are we talking about 30% THC on some of the more potent cannabis leafy substance? Or are we talking about some of the, like you mentioned, the wax? Are we talking about the 80-90% THC levels? So
80-90%.
when it comes to whatever strain they're using, if they can get behind the wheel, we're just going to check, the signs and symptoms of intoxication at that point. How is it affecting reaction time? Because all those tests we do roadside are reliable when dealing with someone under the influence. Just as reliable, the DRE uses their tests as well. Not only do they use some of the roadside tests that the officer used on field, the DRE goes into more in-depth tests like pulses at 3 different intervals, blood pressure, pupil size, in 3 different lighting conditions, in regular room like here, as well as near total darkness and direct light as well. So
DRE is
it's a drug recognition evaluator.
Drug recognition evaluator.
Yes.
And that is a set of guidelines that officers are instructed to
Yeah.
go by to determine whether or not someone is impaired.
Yes, the DRE is going to follow what's called the standardized 12-step process,
Okay.
which starts with the breath test. And in that 12-step process involves checking for alcohol, pulses at 3 different intervals, blood pressure.
Checking pulse.
The pulse, yes.
So an officer would check my pulse on the side of.
No. Once the
This is after an arrest.
Yes. Once
Gotcha,
once
okay.
it gets to a DRE, that's already after that's post arrest.
DRE is okay. Can a person receive a marijuana-related DUI operating a bicycle, skateboard, rollerblades, or even one of these little electric scooters that can be ridden in bike lanes now?
Currently, there's no specific statute for anything like that. For example, there is a specific statute or law for DUI on a bicycle.
How much marijuana can I have on my person? How much marijuana can I buy? What is legal?
28.5 grams of the green leafy substance.
Of the green leafy substance. What does that look like? A bag? A sandwich bag?
About the size, yeah. About
Okay.
the size of
A sandwich bag.
Yeah.
And it's filled up.
Filled up. I want to say filled up. Yeah.
But you have to be 21 years old, right?
That's correct. 21 years or older.
And if I have more than that, am I in misdemeanor land or felony land?
At this point, you're just an infraction.
Infraction. What does that mean?
It'll be a fine at this
Okay.
point. So
it's not even a misdemeanor. It's just a
no.
citation
That's
of some
correct.
sort.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Anything I miss? We should touch base on.
Like I said earlier, just do it safely. Don't get behind the wheel.
All right. Well, very good. Sergeant Oscar Chavez of the California Highway Patrol Impaired Driving Section. Thank you so much for joining me. Very much appreciate your participation. Thanks for keeping us safe on the roads. And for iDriveSoCal, I'm Tom Smith. Thanks for listening.